Hey, everybody. We are filming Note to Self. This is actually the second one. It's interesting that the one called Take a Risk or Take Chances is the one that we took a risk on and did not start the video for Zoom. So this is the second try, but I really think it's going to be beneficial because we're able to kind of synthesize our ideas. And so you're getting the best of the best.
That's a big word.
See, it was a big word. It's going to go downhill from here. But at least I started with the big word. So there you go.
I just changed some mic settings. Can you hear me okay still?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sick. Yeah. Anyways, he took the blame for that, but I was the one that forgot to hit record on our last session. So you get the polished version, the synthesized
It's
version.
true.
Of
Yes,
this episode. So we asked the people, what should we talk about? There was a few things. And I think the overwhelming amount of people said we should talk about risk, which I think we were both like, well, that was probably not the one we wanted to talk about.
No, it's
I
not
wanted
at
to
all.
talk about it, but it's an interesting topic.
It
And when
is.
you talk about risk, then you have to take risks. So it's just like, you know, it'd be easier
putting
to not
yourself
talk
out
about it.
there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess just like first thoughts. I know we talked about this already, but like what are some things that stand out to you when you think about risk?
I think one of the things that sticks out to me is just kind of a quote that I've hung on to. Walter Gretzky, is that right? Is it Walter Gretzky?
Wayne Gretzky?
Wayne Gretzky. Why did I say
Okay.
Walter?
I don't know. I honestly don't even know who that is. I just know the name.
Well, he's a hockey player.
Oh,
He's
hockey.
like a hockey great, but he says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so I think that
For some
really...
reason, I thought that was Michael Jordan.
the wheels have completely... I think we're going to have to check that now.
Okay.
I think we're going to have to absolutely check
You keep
that.
talking. I'll Google.
Are you checking? All right.
Yeah,
you're going to Google that?
Yeah. You keep the train
It's
going.
it's the idea that if you don't take the chance to actually put yourself out there, you're never going to know. If you don't take a risk on anything, then you're always going to wonder what could have been, I guess. And then regret kind of seeps in, which could be another thing that we talk about at some point. So did you find it? Who said it?
Most of the Google and Quora things said Wayne Gretzky, so
Okay.
it is
Okay, good.
not definitively that,
Now-
but there's...
Now, was it Wayne Gretzky or was it Walter
I think
Gretzky,
it was
his
Walter
other brother?
Gretzky.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Wayne and Walter.
Yep.
Yeah. I think you're right. There's like, I had this thought, even this was like a couple of days ago, but you know, I would rather get to the end of my life and tried too many things that didn't work out than get there and look back and wish I would have just gone for something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it goes both ways. I don't think either of us is going to sit here and say that everything you step out and take a risk or take a leap of faith works out, right? Like, I think that's kind of silly to think that is how it works. But I also think that like you just learn from all of those processes, like
For sure.
and there's been things that I have taken a risk out and done that didn't work out, or maybe they worked out, but I realized that, oh, like that's not really what I want, or that's not the direction I want to go. And so I think even in that, like, even in the failure, there's success, you know, even in like, if it's not what you thought it was, I think that either way, it's a learning opportunity and a growing opportunity. And so it's hard, but I think it's worth it. And I don't think you're ever going to regret taking the chance. I think you're always going to regret not taking the chance.
Right.
Yeah. I think you would mention though, there is an aspect of, sorry, I cut you off, but
No, go
there's
ahead.
like
Go
an
ahead.
aspect of, you know, I think used to, you know, in past generations, even maybe before you, risk was like, almost a bad thing. And then I think now in the culture today, risk is kind of flipped the switch, and risk is like this buzzword, and it's like glamorous. And when we were talking, you had mentioned that there is an element of risk that it's like, sometimes it's not worth it to take the risk, you know,
Right.
like
Right. Yeah.
risking for risk's sake, or just doing something on a whim without thinking it through. Like that is not necessarily smart. So
No.
like, how do you, but I also know you, and I know that you would say that risk is worth it most of the time. So like, how do you balance that? Or I guess, how do you check yourself, or how do you, you know, determine, is this a risk that is worth taking? Or is this like just a crazy thing that like, I just need to give time or think about or think through?
Concerning a project, you know, just being creative, I think the older that I get, the more comfortable I am beginning to get with taking chances. Just because I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to get, you know, thousands of listeners. I'm not trying to break out into the music scene. I'm just trying to put something out there. And so I think project wise, you know, finished is better than perfect, you know, which is another thing that we say. So, you know, get that stuff out there, and then through each project, you're able to progress and learn and get better and better and kind of hone your craft. And so you're never able to get from here to here without that risk of pushing yourself just a little bit more.
Yeah.
In other things, you know, at finances, I know right now the big buzzword is kind of, you know, these quick investments, these stocks, you know, the crypto or whatever. Is crypto even a thing anymore?
Yeah.
I don't even.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a thing.
But like these things that happen really, really fast. And so for me, I am not going to take that risk because I know for Mom and I that the things that we are doing financially are moving us toward our goals. And so then it does become kind of a calculated risk in that aspect. Like, is it crazy? I could make a lot of money, but I could lose a lot of money. You know, you're weighing all of these different things.
Yeah.
So I guess it just kind of depends on the situation.
When I would say that the way that y'all approach money, there's an element of risk in that too, you know, like
Yeah.
buying a house and flipping a house, like, you know, who knows if the foundation is messed up, or like, you know, this, so like, it's not like I wouldn't say that it's risk free, but I think that's an area where it's like you said, a calculated risk.
Yeah.
And then there's other areas like your music, like you said, that like you have full liberty to take that risk and to do whatever. And I think, you know, I think sometimes there's an element of like, sometimes it doesn't make sense and it's not logical, but you just got to do it. And I think that there are those times, right? But I think then there's other times where it's like, on this one, I need to weigh all the options, and like, it's a fun risk, or it's something, but it's like, it is not the priority to take this risk in this moment.
Yeah. I think the biggest question for me as far as risk goes is, what's my motivation for doing that, for taking that chance? I have been out of the center of the Lord's will more than a few times in my life. And it seems like that has caused more difficulty and struggle in me than being in the center of God's will. Now, that doesn't mean that things aren't going to be hard and things aren't going to be difficult, but that just means that, like, yeah, you're exactly right. You know, the Lord's going to call you to go do something else. Or the Lord's going to call you to move, or the Lord's going to call you to start a new career. And so those things that keep coming back are being weighed with these questions, like, what's my motivation? Why am I trying to do this? Am I running towards something, or am I running away from something? These are all questions that I think, even as we weigh options and taking chances and risk, we should be asking ourselves. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us, right? You know, And I think the culture now is trying to kind of reframe that and say it is about you. Like, you need to do what makes you happy. You know, you need to do what brings you joy. Like, take care of yourself. And I am 100%, you know, on the mental health, take care of yourself train.
Yeah.
I am all about that self-care. I try to do it every single day.
Yeah.
But it's not all about me. Like, it's about the people around me. It's about my relationship with the Lord and what that looks like to the world.
Yeah.
And so all of those things are combining when I'm deciding at this stage in my life what to do next, where to go next, you know, what to try next.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. I think that is a balance. And I think that is something that our culture is so like all about, is self-care and take a self day or all of that stuff. And I mean, you and me both have gone to therapy for long stints of time. And I think that like neither of us would say that you should neglect yourself.
No, not at all.
But I've also come to the realization that like some of the biggest things that people need in life is connection and like community and love and support, right? Like those are probably the most self-care things you can do for yourself, is to surround yourself with people and like have relationships and be loved, not romantic necessarily, but, you know, just like relationships.
For sure.
And what's the best way to get those things? To give, right?
Right.
And so like, I think sometimes like we think of like self-care as like doing stuff for me, but like sometimes I think the most self-care thing you can do is take care of other people, because when you take care of other people, it just kind of, it's helping you, you know, like, and you know, whether or not you're religious, whether or not you believe in Jesus, I think you and me both believe that the most, honestly, I've thought about it, and like the most selfish thing I could do is serve Jesus, because that's what I've chosen to do with my life. And my happiest and most fulfilled days are when I'm close to him.
Yeah.
And so like the most selfish thing I can do is to be close to him. Because that's what fills me up. So like, that's the most selfish, you know, not selfish, but that's the most self-care thing I can do, is to like,
Yeah. And that's exactly, you know, and so we're supposed to abide in order to go and be out in the world. The biggest risk you can take is reaching out to somebody when you're hurting, right? The biggest risk, the biggest chance you can take is making a phone call or knocking on a door and saying, "Hey, I am not okay. Like, I need to figure stuff out. Like, I'm knee deep in it, and the whole world has no idea." Because if you don't do things like that, then you're right. Like, you're just getting into yourself. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about triggers. I know this is kind of going a little veered off, but I think it's okay. And I just told him, you know, what are your triggers? And he said, I don't think I know what you mean. Like, what do you mean when you say that? And I said, well, it's like a gun. Like, a trigger is a firing mechanism on a gun, right? You pull the trigger, the gun explodes. But if the gun misfires, it still fires. It's just inside the gun. And I think that's what happens when we don't take a risk and we don't reach out to people. Like, we're still, those triggers are still firing. They're just being buried inside of us deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually they're going to blow. So taking chances isn't always like chasing an investment or getting a book deal or creating a new piece of art. Sometimes it's just like, you know, sending a text or making a phone call, checking in on somebody, going, "Hey, we were talking right before we started, and you mentioned somebody that you said was distant, you know, for a while. You know, are there people in our lives that are distant, that are just begging for somebody to say anything to them? And it takes a risk to go up. I know you've done this before in your interactions with people. And I know it's difficult for you every single time, but you're obedient and you go, "Hey, are you good? Like, what's going on? Like, can I pray for you?" So I think there's different aspects of risk in our lives, and it doesn't have to be something huge to make a big difference in us.
Yeah.
So
I think that's good.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went off topic, but it's all good.
Everybody's super surprised, I'm sure.
They are. Exactly.
We're known as by the letter people. So
it's exactly right. So I don't, so what would you tell me? This is note to self, like what would you tell your 50-year-old self? And what would I tell my almost 28-year-old self if we could about the subject? So what would you tell me about risk and taking chances?
I think I would say it's never too late to step out. Yeah, because I think you touched on this, like being in the center of God's will, or like where you're supposed to be. I think we can label it like a ton of different things. But I think the good thing about life and the good thing about God, and like it's never too late, and no opportunity is too far gone. And so I think that, like, even if it's something that you've continually buried or continually put behind you, that like stepping out and taking a chance, I think is worth it. And I think that there's so many people around you in your life that look up to you and look at what you're doing. And I think that a lot of the times when you take a risk or when you take a chance, it's not just for you. Like, people see the way that you live your life, and your life is the biggest, story you can tell people. Yeah. So I think that even in myself, and I'm younger and don't really have the context of like decades of life or like going through these super long seasons. But I think the longer I suppress something, or the longer that it gets beaten out of me almost, like it gets harder and harder to believe, and harder to, almost like there's like, it's weathered and it's, like old, I don't know, let's say like you let a car sit and rot for 30 years, like it's going to take a lot more maintenance to get it working than if you had it covered or, and I think our dreams are just like that. And I think risk and opportunities are just like that. Like, they're not gone. But the longer you let it sit, the harder it is to bring it back to life. But I think it's never too late. Yeah. I think that's
good.
Say.
That's good.
What is your note to self?
I would say, don't let distractions deter you from the risks that you are being called to take. Distractions come in many forms. For me, it's my stupid phone, it's scrolling, it's apathy. It's different for everybody. It could be work. It could be things that people are asking you to do all at once. It could be your headspace. But don't let the distractions take the place of the things that you're being called into. I've heard people say, like in ministry, the ministry are the interruptions, the things that happen in your day. And I would agree to that to a point. I would say right now, if somebody walked into this office in tears, I'd probably say, hey, we need to wrap this up. I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there are days when I need to get things done. There are days when I have to stay diligent, and in those days, I think I just have to carve space out for myself and just say, no, I'm gonna do this. And you've done that before with different projects and things. So I would just, I would say, you know, there's a lot of things that are going to compete for your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, we're going to talk about success. There are a lot of things that you could set your hand to. But not everything is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I almost got through an entire episode without tearing up. I don't know what the timer is on that bad boy, but I was close.
Your voice didn't crack, so I call that a win.
All right.
Let's get some applause for
Movement.
our boy.
Ooh. Can we do an applause
He's
track
doing good.
there? I don't know where the timer is.
I
but
can do it in post. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna wave my hand so I know where to add it in
Oh,
editing. So I can
perfect.
scrub through and find it.
I can't wait.
You need to rig up your beat machine or whatever.
Ooh,
Whatever that
dude.
thing's called.
Oh yeah. I
And
have
then just-
another. Did I even
didn't-
show you this thing?
No.
Have you seen
Wait.
this thing yet?
Was that a chapstick can?
It's not a chapstick. It's probably not charged, so I can't show. I'll show you next time.
Oh, is it like a
But-
pitch thing?
but-
Or like a
But
beat
it's like a
thing?
little
Oh,
beat machine. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
like
I've
hit
seen
like
those.
the bass and stuff, and then you can shake it, and it does different different bends and things like that depending on what you do with the device. Anyway,
That's sick.
yeah, it's just on my desk and it's not charged, so apparently
I think next
it holds
week,
no purpose.
I say next week like we do a weekly episode. Who are we getting?
Yeah.
I think next
That's right.
episode.
Well, yeah.
I think you should make a beat live next episode
Ooh, I'll have to practice.
under some pressure. I think it'd be
Yeah,
that'd be
Yeah.
lit.
that would be something for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if we have enough time, but I do want to close with a quote because I almost forgot it.
Oh yeah, we have some time. I was going to ask
okay,
you a question, and then I'll let you in with the quote.
Okay,
Does that
ask me a
work?
question.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
What? Maybe give me an example of a risk that you wish you would have taken, and then a risk that you took, but it didn't work out. Either in a way that you weren't supposed to take that risk, or just like you took it. It was a good thing that you tried it, but it didn't work out.
Man, that's hard.
Yeah.
A risk
know.
that I wish I would have taken.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I love my time at Eastern. But when I took my ACT and I started applying for colleges, I had 3 colleges in mind, and I stopped with Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even apply to the other ones.
Yeah.
And I think that has kind of been kind of a recurring theme in my life, the path of least resistance. And so I think that's just an example of one, but there are a few when I've just kind of settled for where I'm at, like get an album to this point and then just, let me just send it out because I really don't want to deal with it anymore, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I think that would probably be it. A risk that didn't work out. Mom and I have taken chances on a couple of houses.
Yeah.
And big, beautiful houses. There was one in particular that, we were driving up and there were just like little signs. You know how sometimes you just see signs and you're just like, oh, this means this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I had already talked myself into this house in Ruidoso overlooking the mountains. And we put in our bid and we waited, and I knew that it was going to happen. And then we got outbid and we lost it. But my heart was already kind of tied to it. And so that took some unpacking and things. So I think that's hard too. When you do take the risk and it doesn't work out, there's a good chance that your heart's still going to be tied to that. Feel that grief, mourn that loss, and then get back up on the horse, as they say, and keep going. So, yeah, there you go. How about you? Anything?
Ooh, I was trying to think, and I can't think of anything. Hold on.
Oh, I got you.
Under pressure, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, I think. Okay, so there was a season of my life where I was doing social media work for a church, which if you've ever worked for a church, that means that if you're hired for one thing, you do about 6 different things that are related to that one thing. So in that season, I was doing photo, video, graphic design, website, marketing, kind of all the above. And so I think then in freelance, I was doing photography. And so I tried to do a little bit more like logo design and, cause I enjoyed graphic design and I had done a couple personal projects that were just really fun. So I was like, okay, I want to do logos. And so I did a couple projects and they were fine, but I think that was a risk that didn't work out because I was excited about it and the prospect of it. But I think honestly, I wanted to do it more for the fact of like, to be able to say like, okay, I can edit logos, and I don't think I subconsciously, or I don't think I knew that. I think subconsciously I knew it. But I think sometimes for me, my problem is like, I want to do it to say that I can do it, or like, I want to do the thing just to have accomplished the thing, not because I enjoy that thing or because I feel called to do that thing. So that's kind of like a tension. And I think it was a learning experience and I don't regret it, but I also like, it was just a waste of time and a waste of energy because I spent a lot of time and energy trying to enjoy it. And I just didn't, and then it wasn't awful, but it was definitely not, good. So, yeah. And then I guess, let's see, a chance
that you wish you would have taken. Yeah.
I wish I would have taken. Yeah. Yeah, maybe, honestly, probably similar to you. I don't, maybe not with college per se, but I think when I graduated, I was just like, I had such a good community and I was so solid that I just didn't really have any frame of reference of like, none of me wanted to move or like leave my hometown. And I traveled a lot and I loved that. And I think like, a year ago I moved to Lubbock, which, is not a huge move, but it was definitely probably the biggest move in my life. And I think in this past year I've learned a lot and grown a lot. And I think that, I feel like there's part of me that's just like, why didn't you do that sooner? Why didn't you just step out of your comfort zone a little bit sooner or like take a chance a little bit sooner? And I think I was so worried about like making the wrong decision or whatever, I think for me that like whole center of God's will thing is I don't know how much I like that terminology just because internally I process that, some people it helps, but me, if I'm thinking about life as like if we're going like all Marvel on it, like if I think of life as this like spider web of things, being in the right place or the center of God's will is like this one strand. And it's like, how the hell am I going to find that one strand, And I think that, I think he works all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. So like, I don't think that if you are trying to be in step with him and you are walking with him, then I think that is being in the center of his will. But I also think that like, I was so laser focused on not making a mistake or doing the right thing that I just didn't take any chances. I didn't have the capacity to dream for myself. And I think I I think there's a few years that if I had back, I would live them a little bit differently, not that I would necessarily make a different decision, but I would just approach it with a different mindset. So I think those would be my things.
Yeah. Those are really good.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
What's your quote?
Oh, the quote was from my buddy Landell.
Oh yeah, I love Landell.
And so we'll
amazing.
just
Shout out to Landell.
Yeah, shout out to Landell. You could my buddy since college. That's how I got into comic books. So we read a lot of the Vertigo comic label. So anyway, he told me one time, you must be bold in taking chances in the kitchen and in love. Like that was essentially the Ratatouille quote, as it were. I don't think it's from Ratatouille, but you said it sounded like it was.
Yeah.
But it's true. You know, you have to be bold. I remember starting to cook for Marie at the end of the day, and I didn't know how to do anything. And then I don't know, the creative side of me was just like, you know what, this is going to be fun, and so I kind of took a chance, and now I really, really enjoy cooking, and now I'm putting stuff together without recipes, and you know, it's just incremental kind of things. You know, we think of a risk as jumping off a cliff, but maybe it's just like you said, maybe it's just like there's two paths, and you're like, I'm gonna try this one. I don't know what this one looks like. Yeah. So, you know, just do something different. Take a chance. You know.
Wear the red shirt.
Wear the red shirt. Well, yeah. Yeah, you can wear the red shirt.
You always wear black. Wear the red shirt.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Do something different.
Yep. Do something different.
I like it. That's
Me
good.
too.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to the more polished episode.
Absolutely.
I think next week or next episode, we're going to talk about success. So I think it ties in pretty well to risk. So it may just be more of a continuation of this topic, but if y'all want us to talk about anything in particular, let us know. I think we're going to start, taking one topic and kind of focusing on that for an episode. And it may evolve, it may change, but I think that helps us stay a little bit focused.
It does. A little bit. So, I mean, as much as we, Yep.
Well, thanks for listening to Note to Self. We'll see you next time. Love you.
Yes. Love you.